You know, most people think being rich starts with money. But the truth is, it starts with mindset. You can't act broke and expect abundance. You can't think small and expect greatness. Think rich, act rich isn't about showing off, it's about showing up. It's about carrying yourself with confidence, making decisions with purpose, and believing you deserve more before you ever have it. Because wealth doesn't just appear, it's attracted to the person who's already ready for it. Your mindset defines your financial reality because everything you do, every decision you make, and every direction you choose begins in your mind. The way you think about money, success, and yourself determines what you attract and what you allow. If you believe money is hard to earn, it will always be scarce. If you believe opportunities only come to others, you'll always stand on the sidelines watching others win. The mind is like soil. Whatever seeds you plant in it, those will grow. If you plant doubt, fear, and limitation, that's exactly what your life will produce. But if you plant belief, abundance, and possibility, the results shift in your favor. You start seeing doors where others see walls. You start moving with purpose instead of hesitation. Wealth begins not with the balance in your bank, but with the belief in your mind. When you think rich, you begin to reprogram how you see the world. You stop viewing money as something distant and start treating it as something that responds to your actions and mindset. You begin to act with confidence instead of fear. The person who thinks poor sees every dollar as something to protect, while the person who thinks rich sees every dollar as a tool to grow. That's the difference between survival and expansion. When your mindset is rich, you're not chasing money, you're building value. You're not desperate for validation, you're driven by vision. You understand that wealth is not just earned, it's created through decisions that align with abundance. Every successful person started with a decision to think differently. They looked at the same circumstances as everyone else, but they refused to accept limitation as truth. Thinking rich doesn't mean pretending to have what you don't. It means knowing that what you desire already exists in possibility. It means walking with faith before the results show up. Your thoughts send signals to your subconscious, and your subconscious directs your actions. If you keep telling yourself you're broke, your brain will act accordingly. It will find ways to confirm that belief. But if you tell yourself you are capable of wealth, your actions begin to align with that truth. You start seeking growth, not comfort. You start learning, investing, and improving because your mind is already living in the reality you're trying to create. Thinking rich changes your energy. People can feel it. When you walk into a room believing you belong, opportunities naturally gravitate toward you. You communicate differently, carry yourself differently, and attract different results. The world responds to confidence, and confidence starts in your thoughts. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's knowing your value and refusing to settle for less than what matches it. A rich mindset says, I can learn this. I can do this. I can become this. And that belief shapes everything from how you wake up in the morning to how you handle setbacks. You stop seeing failure as the end and start seeing it as feedback. You stop complaining about what you lack and start focusing on what you can create. The truth is, most people stay stuck not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack belief. They see themselves as victims of circumstance instead of creators of change. A rich mindset reverses that. It takes ownership. It says, I am responsible for what I think, and what I think will shape what I become. That's the moment transformation begins. When you think rich, you stop waiting for permission and start giving yourself direction. You stop measuring success by what's in your hand and start measuring it by what's in your mind. The mind is your greatest asset. If you master it, you can master anything else. But if you let it stay negative, fearful, or small, no amount of external wealth will change your reality. Thinking rich means constantly feeding your mind with ideas that lift you higher. It means surrounding yourself with people who push you to grow. It means reading, learning, and staying curious. The rich don't just spend money differently. They think differently about what's possible. They look for solutions where others see problems. They invest in their growth because they understand that real wealth starts internally. You become what you repeatedly think about. If your mind is full of doubt, you'll attract situations that prove you right. If your mind is full of abundance, you'll attract opportunities that multiply your resources. It's a cycle powered by thought. That's why changing your mindset is the first step toward changing your life. When you believe you're meant for more, your actions start proving it. You speak differently, walk differently, plan differently, and handle challenges differently. Thinking rich isn't just positive thinking, it's powerful thinking. It's strategic, disciplined, and intentional. It's realizing that every thought you think is a brick in the foundation of your future. Confidence attracts opportunity because people are naturally drawn to those who believe in themselves. When you walk into a room with confidence, you don't need to announce your worth. The energy you carry speaks louder than words. Confidence is magnetic. It makes others trust your vision, your abilities, and your direction. When you truly believe in what you bring to the table, the world starts to believe it too. It's not about arrogance or ego. It's about certainty. It's the quiet assurance that says, I know who I am, I know what I'm capable of, and I know where I'm going. That kind of energy makes doors open because opportunity recognizes strength, not hesitation. Confidence shapes how you speak, how you act, and how you respond to challenges. It allows you to take risks others avoid. When you carry confidence, you stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what if it works? That shift in mindset changes everything. People who lack confidence often talk themselves out of opportunities before they even begin. They underestimate their potential, second-guess their ideas, and settle for less. But confident individuals move differently. They trust their preparation, they step forward even when they feel fear, and they understand that failure is not a reflection of their worth, but a step toward mastery. Confidence gives you the courage to try, and that courage invites opportunities that others miss. Think about how people respond to leaders, creators, and innovators. The ones who make an impact don't always have the most resources. They have the most belief in themselves. Their confidence inspires others to follow, invest, and support. When you believe in your abilities, others start to see value in you. It's a psychological truth. People mirror your level of certainty. If you doubt yourself, others sense it. If you trust yourself, others feel safe trusting you. Confidence becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more you believe, the more results you create, and the more your results reinforce your belief. Confidence also influences your decision-making. It gives you clarity in moments of uncertainty. When you believe in yourself, you make bold moves without waiting for perfect timing. You understand that growth requires action, not endless planning. Confidence doesn't eliminate fear, it controls it. It allows you to move forward even with uncertainty in your path. When you act with confidence, you send a message to life that you're ready for bigger opportunities. You stop shrinking yourself to fit your comfort zone and start expanding your comfort zone to fit your goals. It's important to understand that true confidence isn't built overnight. It's the result of consistent self-trust. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build it. Every time you face a challenge instead of running away, you strengthen it. Every time you take responsibility for your growth, you feed it. Confidence grows from action, not words. You can read every motivational quote in the world, but until you act, your confidence will remain theoretical. Action transforms belief into evidence. When you prove to yourself that you can handle life's difficulties, confidence becomes your natural state. Confidence attracts opportunity because opportunity loves people who are ready. When you move with confidence, you stand out in a world full of hesitation. Employers notice you, investors notice you, collaborators notice you. People want to work with someone who exudes certainty, someone who doesn't crumble under pressure. Confidence communicates reliability, leadership, and vision. It's not just about how loud you are, it's about how sure you are. You can be calm, humble, and still command attention, simply because your presence carries conviction. Confidence also affects how you recover from setbacks. When life knocks you down, confidence reminds you that it's temporary. You don't see failure as defeat, you see it as direction. You learn, adjust, and rise again stronger. That resilience becomes your greatest magnet for new opportunities because the world rewards those who don't quit. When you maintain composure and belief during adversity, people around you take notice. They start to see you as dependable, and dependability leads to trust, and trust opens doors. You can't fake true confidence. It comes from knowing yourself, your values, and your purpose. When you align with those things, you stop comparing yourself to others. You stop seeking validation and start giving yourself permission to succeed. You walk differently, you speak differently, and you dream differently. The confidence that comes from authenticity is powerful because it's unshakable. No amount of rejection or judgment can take it away. You start creating your own opportunities instead of waiting for them. Confidence changes your energy, and your energy changes your environment. When you think confidently, you attract confident people. You begin to build relationships that elevate you, partnerships that challenge you, and networks that grow with you. Life becomes a reflection of your internal belief system. When you radiate assurance, everything around you aligns with it. Confidence is not just about standing tall, it's about thinking tall. It's about showing up fully even when you don't have everything figured out. It's about trusting that you can handle whatever comes your way, and that trust becomes the key that unlocks new levels of success, growth, and opportunity. Act like the person you want to become, because transformation doesn't happen by chance, it happens by choice. You can't wait until success arrives to start behaving successfully. The mindset, habits, and discipline you need for the next level must begin now, not later. When you act like the person you want to be, you train your mind and body to operate at that frequency. You start aligning your behavior with your vision instead of your current situation. Every great achiever understood this principle. They didn't wait for wealth to feel worthy. They didn't wait for success to feel capable. They acted like it before it showed up. Acting like the person you want to become doesn't mean pretending, it means preparing. It's about living in alignment with your goals until they become your reality. If you want to become confident, you have to act confident even when you're uncertain. If you want to become disciplined, you have to start making decisions like a disciplined person. If you want to become successful, you must start managing your time, energy, and habits like someone who already is. The universe responds to consistency, not excuses. When your actions begin to mirror the identity you're aiming for, your results start catching up. Too many people wait for motivation, but motivation comes after action. When you start behaving like your future self, you begin to feel the energy of progress, and that feeling becomes addictive. Acting like the person you want to become is a mindset shift from someday to today. It's realizing that who you're meant to be already exists within you, and your job is to unlock it through your actions. Every decision you make either moves you closer to that version or keeps you where you are. Your daily choices define your direction. The way you speak, the way you dress, the way you respond to challenges, all send a message to your subconscious about who you are. When you act in alignment with your desired identity, your subconscious begins to believe it. And once your mind believes it, the world begins to reflect it. You can't think like a beginner and expect the results of a master. You have to start thinking, moving, and behaving like the person who already has what you want. Success is not about waiting for external validation. It's about internal transformation. Every time you act like the person you want to become, you're casting a vote for that identity. Over time, those votes build momentum. And that momentum builds character. The version of you that you admire isn't somewhere far away. It's built through the small, consistent actions you take right now. Most people dream about change but act like they're past. They repeat old patterns and expect new results. Acting like the person you want to become requires breaking that cycle. It means replacing procrastination with execution, fear with faith, and doubt with discipline. It means doing the uncomfortable things that your future self will thank you for. When you act like the person you want to become, you no longer let your circumstances dictate your behavior. You lead yourself instead of waiting to be led. You begin to embody confidence, purpose, and resilience because that's who your future self already is. Think about how powerful this shift is. When you carry yourself like someone who deserves success, opportunities start seeing you differently. People respond to how you present yourself. When you act like a leader, others treat you like one. When you act with integrity, people trust you. When you act with purpose, people follow you. Your behavior becomes your message. The energy you give off becomes your brand. The person you want to become isn't waiting for the right conditions. They're creating them through mindset and motion. Acting like your future self also changes how you handle obstacles. Instead of saying, "I can't do this," you start asking, "How would my successful self handle this?" That single question transforms your reactions. You stop being controlled by emotion and start being guided by intention. You begin to develop the calm, focus, and clarity of someone who's already achieved greatness. When challenges appear, you face them with confidence instead of fear because you've already trained yourself to think and act on a higher level. You can't expect to attract abundance while acting like someone who doubts it. You can't expect to lead others while acting uncertain about your own direction. You have to become a walking example of your own vision. Acting like the person you want to become builds credibility not just with others but with yourself. Every time you take action aligned with your future identity, you prove to yourself that you're capable, and that proof becomes power. Over time, those consistent choices shape your habits shape your results, and your results shape your destiny. You don't need to have everything figured out to start acting like your best self. You just need to start. Small, consistent steps create big transformations. Wake up earlier. Speak with confidence. Dress with intention. Protect your time. Value your growth. Do the work that others avoid. Step into rooms that challenge you. Speak about your goals as if they're already unfolding. When you act like the person you want to become, the world begins to respond to that version of you. The opportunities, people, and experiences that match your new energy begin to find their way to you because you're finally aligned with what you've always wanted to be. Scarcity thinking keeps you poor because it traps your mind in a cycle of fear and limitation. When you live with a scarcity mindset, you believe there's never enough money, never enough time, never enough opportunity. You start operating from a place of survival instead of creation. You make decisions based on fear rather than vision. You cling to what you have because you're afraid of losing it, and that fear blocks the flow of growth and abundance. Scarcity thinking convinces you that other people's success takes something away from you. It tells you that life is a competition instead of a collaboration. But the truth is, the more you think in terms of lack, the more lack you experience, because your thoughts shape your reality. When you focus on what you don't have, your energy stays stuck. You become defensive, cautious, and hesitant to take risks. You pass up opportunities because you're scared to fail or lose what little you think you have. Scarcity doesn't just affect your finances. It affects your creativity, your relationships, and your self-worth. It keeps you in a constant state of worry, and worry drains your ability to think clearly or act boldly. People who think with scarcity tend to settle for less, accept mediocrity, and stay in comfort zones that suffocate their potential. They think small, dream small, and achieve small, because they never believe more is possible. Abundance and scarcity are both states of mind, and whichever one you feed grows stronger. The person who believes in abundance understands that there is enough success for everyone. They see opportunities where others see threats. They know that money is not a limited resource. It's a reflection of value, creativity, and exchange. Scarcity thinking says, if I give, I lose. Abundance thinking says, if I give, I grow. When you shift from scarcity to abundance, your decisions become expansive. You stop hoarding your energy, your time, and your ideas. You start investing them. You start believing that what you send out will come back multiplied. Scarcity thinking often comes from fear of the past. Maybe you grew up hearing that money doesn't grow on trees, that life is hard, or that success is only for a few. Those beliefs become mental walls that keep you from expanding. But the truth is, wealth begins when you break those mental walls. It's not about how much you have, it's about how much you believe you can create. People with an abundant mindset understand that money is a tool, not a measure of worth. They don't let temporary setbacks define their long-term potential. They take risks, they learn, and they grow because they trust that more is always possible. When you think with scarcity, you chase money instead of attracting it. You make desperate moves instead of strategic ones. You cling to short-term comfort instead of building long-term stability. Scarcity tells you to play it safe, but playing it safe is what keeps you stuck. Every great success story started with someone who believed there was more available, even when there wasn't any evidence yet. Abundance begins in the mind long before it appears in reality. When you shift your thinking from, I can't afford this, to, how can I afford this? Your brain starts finding solutions. When you shift from, there's not enough, to, I can create more, you start unlocking creativity, innovation, and resourcefulness that scarcity thinking suppresses. Scarcity thinking also isolates you from others. It makes you see competition instead of collaboration. You start resenting other people's progress because you think it diminishes yours. But that mindset only keeps you trapped in comparison and bitterness. Abundant thinkers celebrate others because they know someone else's win is proof that success is possible. They learn from others instead of envying them. They build connections instead of walls. They grow by giving, sharing, and collaborating because they understand that success multiplies when it's shared. Scarcity shows up in the small details of your life too. It's in the way you hesitate to invest in yourself, the way you downplay your abilities, or the way you talk yourself out of trying something new. Every time you say, "I can't," you reinforce that scarcity loop. But every time you choose comfort over courage, you delay growth. Breaking free from scarcity starts with changing your language. Start saying, "I will find a way. There's always a solution. Opportunities are everywhere." Your words shape your mindset, and your mindset shapes your actions. The more you focus on what's possible, the more possibilities start appearing. Scarcity keeps you in survival mode, and survival mode kills creativity. You can't build wealth or success from fear. You can only build it from belief. When you stop seeing money as something to chase and start seeing it as something to manage wisely, you begin to expand. When you stop focusing on what you lack and start focusing on what you can learn, what you can give, and what you can create, your energy shifts. That energy draws in people, ideas, and opportunities that match your new frequency. People who escape scarcity thinking understand that wealth is mental before it's material. They invest in learning instead of complaining. They use time wisely instead of wasting it on worry. They make choices based on vision instead of fear. They act as if abundance is already flowing because they know it's only a matter of time before it catches up in reality. Scarcity keeps you poor, not because the world is unfair, but because your thoughts limit what you're willing to receive. Once you expand your mindset, you expand your capacity for success, and everything around you starts to shift toward growth, opportunity, and abundance. Habits build the foundation of wealth because success is never the result of one big decision. It's the result of small, consistent choices made every single day. The way you spend your mornings, how you manage your time, what you focus on, and what you repeat day after day determine the direction of your life. Wealth is not built overnight. It's built in routines, in discipline, and in the invisible moments when no one is watching. Your habits are like bricks, and each one you lay with intention builds the structure of your future. People often look at successful individuals and assume they were lucky. But what they're really seeing is the result of habits that were followed consistently, even when motivation was gone. Good habits shape your mindset, your focus, and your ability to stay consistent under pressure. They train your brain to operate with clarity and purpose. When you create strong habits, you no longer have to rely on willpower. Your actions become automatic. If you build habits of learning, saving, investing, and working with discipline, wealth naturally follows. The person who masters their habits masters their destiny. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack structure. They let their emotions control their actions instead of letting discipline guide their decisions. Habits decide whether you move forward or stay stuck. The habit of procrastination kills dreams faster than failure ever could. The habit of distraction steals time that could have been invested in growth. The habit of doubt stops you from taking action. But on the other hand, the habit of consistency, of showing up even when you don't feel like it, creates momentum. Every small action compounds. Reading for 10 minutes a day may not seem like much, but over a year, it can completely change your thinking. Saving a small amount of money consistently might seem insignificant, but over time, it builds security and confidence. Success doesn't come from doing one thing once. It comes from doing the right things repeatedly. The habits you build reflect your priorities. If you want to be wealthy, start developing habits that wealthy people live by. Study how they think, how they plan, how they manage their time. Wealthy individuals don't waste hours scrolling through distractions or making excuses. They protect their time like it's their greatest resource because it is. They read, they strategize, they network, they invest. They understand that every minute spent wisely today multiplies their opportunities tomorrow. When you start acting with that same level of discipline, you begin to shift your results. Habits are not glamorous, but they are powerful. They're the quiet actions that create loud results. Habits also determine how you handle failure. When you have strong habits, a setback doesn't destroy your progress because your system keeps you grounded. You don't panic when things go wrong. You adjust and keep moving. Discipline keeps you stable when motivation fades. It's easy to feel inspired after watching a motivational video, but the real question is what you do when that inspiration disappears. Habits are what carry you through the days when you don't feel like doing anything. They remind you of your purpose when emotions try to distract you. They keep you focused on the process, not just the outcome. Building wealth isn't only about financial habits, it's also about mental habits. It's about training your mind to stay calm under pressure, to think long-term instead of chasing short-term gratification. It's about developing patience and the ability to delay pleasure for greater rewards. When you have good mental habits, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding intelligently. You stop seeing problems as obstacles and start seeing them as lessons. That shift in perspective changes how you approach every challenge and every opportunity. Your habits also influence the kind of people you attract. When you live with discipline and purpose, you naturally attract others who share the same energy. Successful people recognize consistency. They notice when someone is serious about their goals. That's how opportunities are born. Through alignment with like-minded individuals who operate at the same level of commitment. Your habits become your reputation. When people know you're reliable, consistent, and focused, they trust you. And trust opens doors that talent alone cannot. Changing your habits isn't easy, but it's simple. It starts with one decision: to replace one negative pattern with a positive one. You don't have to overhaul your entire life in a day. You just need to start small. Wake up earlier, read daily, manage your expenses, speak positively, plan your day, and follow through on your word. Over time, these small steps create massive transformation. The key is consistency. Even when progress feels slow, your habits are silently shaping your future. Every repetition strengthens your foundation. Every act of discipline builds confidence, and every moment of persistence moves you closer to your vision. Habits are the blueprint of success because they shape who you are becoming. You can't build wealth with the habits of a broke mindset, and you can't build success with the habits of mediocrity. Your results are a mirror reflecting your routines. If you want to change what you have, change what you do daily. Habits decide your energy, your focus, your opportunities, and ultimately your wealth. The difference between those who dream of success and those who achieve it lies in what they repeatedly do, not what they occasionally wish for.